morning, students. Today we are going to have a discussion on NCERT questions and answers. So the first question is, why does the democratic country need a constitution? Democratic country, whatsoever the democratic country will be there, all the democratic countries need a constitution in the same way as, for example, we are going to run a school. So to run a school, we always, first of all, make some rules and the regulations. We just make some kind of agendas that how the students have to do the work, what could be the uniform of the students, how will be the full day divided into the different subjects, different periods, how will the students get an activity period as well. So these all the things we always just frame first of all. Okay, in the same way, whenever we are going to run a country, we always need a constitution because it provides us certain principles according to which it is very easy to run a country smoothly. Okay, so let's come on the answer. A constitution puts down certain principles that form the basis of the kind of country that we as citizens desire to live in. A constitution tells us the fundamental nature of our society. A constitution helps serve as a set of rules and principles that all persons in a country can agree upon as the basis of the way in which they want the country to be governed. The constitution also spells out the ideals the citizens believe that their country should uphold. Question number 2. What is the difference in who exercises executive power in the 1990 and interim constitutions of Nepal? Keeping this in mind, why do you think Nepal needs a new constitution today? In the 1990 Nepal constitution, the executive powers of the kingdom was entirely in the hands of the king. According to the interim constitution drafted in 2007, the executive powers of Nepal are in the hands of the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. There was a dire need for a constitution as the ideals of the people had changed as the country had moved from a monarchy to a democracy. The old constitution was drafted when the country was under the rule of king. The people of Nepal fought for a democratic government for many years. So the old constitution does not reflect the ideals of the people. The new constitution will change the rules of the old constitution in order to bring in a new society with new ideals. So let's move on. Question number 3. What would happen if there were no restriction on the power of elected representatives? As we know that elected representatives are having many of the powers in their hands. Okay, if there will not be any restriction on their power, they definitely misuse their powers. For example, we can take an example of any of the person who will get a lot of powers. Okay, definitely if there will not be any restriction on the powers of that person, so definitely that person will misuse those all the powers. Okay, so in the same way, elected representatives, whosoever it is, restrictions must be there. If there will not be any restriction on the powers of the elected representative, definitely they will be misusing all those powers. So the answer is, if there are no restrictions on the power of the elected representatives, the leaders might misuse the powers given to them. The Indian Constitution provides safeguards against the misuse of power by our political leaders. The Constitution lays down rules that guard the citizens against misuse of powers. Here is the next question. In each of the following situations, identify the minority. Write one reason why you think it is important to respect the views of the minority in each of these situations. Okay. So the first situation is in a school with 30 teachers, 20 of them are male. It means that who is there in the minority? If the 20 teachers are male, then definitely 10 teachers will be female. So it means that female teachers are in the minority. So don't you think that minority should also have full right to give their views? Okay. So female teachers are in the minority. It is necessary to respect the views of the lady teachers also, as their viewpoints may also be in the best interest of the students, right? Next is In a city, 5% of the population are Buddhist. If the 5% population are Buddhist, so it does not mean that they are not the citizens of that particular country. Fine. If the Buddhists are in minority, it does not mean that they don't have the rights. It does not mean that whatsoever the fundamental rights we have got, they don't have those all the fundamental rights. They also have full right to enjoy all those fundamental rights. So Buddhists are in the minority. Every individual has the right to follow the religion of his choice. In a factory, mess for all employees, 80% are vegetarians. So if 80% are vegetarians, it does not mean that whatsoever the 20% employees are left, they don't have their right to eat non-veg. Okay. So the food whatsoever the person eats, the food whatsoever the person likes to eat, they always have freedom to eat whatsoever they want to. In the part, in a class of 50 students, 40 belong to more well-off families. So if 40 belong to more well-off families, so whatsoever 10 students are left over there, whether they are not belonging to a good families, but good rich families, but it does not mean that we can discriminate the students on the basis of their richness, on the basis of money, on the basis of their living standard, because the underprivileged and in minority citizens cannot be discriminated by their birth, so their views have to be respected. So as we have read in the fundamental rights, in those all the fundamental rights, we have read about the right in equality also, right to equality as well. So in right to equality, what is there? All the citizens of a country are equal. Okay, all the citizens of a country should be treated equally because they all have all the rights to enjoy. Let's move to fifth question. Listed below are the key features of the Indian Constitution. Write two sentences in your own words on why you think this feature is important key feature of. First is federalism. Now, what does federalism mean? Federalism means more than one level of government in the country. As India, it has three-tier government. India needs a three-tier government because of the diverse religious and cultural composition of its citizens. A government at the center alone could not be effective for everyone. Now, next is separation of powers. In order to prevent the misuse of power by the elected representative, the Constitution advocates separation of power. Each branch of the government has its power fixed by the Constitution. The Constitution ensures that a balance of power is maintained between the legislature, executive, and the judiciary. I will give an example to you for the separation of powers. As your teachers are having different powers, your coordinators are having different powers, your principal, your chairman person are having the different powers. So it is a separation of powers, like they have different powers to work on. They are given, they are assigned the different areas, they are assigned the different work to do. Okay, so that is in the same way, the powers are also separated in the country, in the constitution, to run the country smoothly without any confusion. Next is fundamental rights. As you all know about it, we have done it previously as well. Next is parliamentary form of government. Parliamentary form of government, the constitution guarantees universal adult franchise for all citizens, means that all the adults who are of 18 years or more than 18 years are having full right to vote, irrespective of whether they are poor or rich, educated or uneducated, whatsoever they are having full right to vote for their own representative. Now here is the last question. Write down the names of Indian states which share borders with the following neighboring countries. You can see in the India map, you can take an example, sorry, you can take a help of a map and you can see the borders of the neighboring countries with the Bangladesh, West Bengal, Tripura, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Assam. These are the states of our India who are sharing their borders with all these with this country, our neighboring country, that is Bangladesh. Next is Bhutan, Arunachal Pradesh, West Bengal, Sikkim and Assam. Nepal, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, and Sikkim.